George Graham, manager. I used to watch old cowboy films with John Wayne in, and he used to always say, let's get in there, do the business, and then get the hell out of there. Paul Merson, forward. We went up there the day of the game. You know, that's a bit weird. You're playing Friday evening, the biggest game for Arsenal in the last 18 years, since they played at White Hart Lane and won the league. To go up there the day of the game was just phenomenal. I think George was like, if we go up the day of the game, the players haven't got time to think and get nervous. George Graham. I was into coaching big time, and I started to get a lot of books from America. Coaches of American football, basketball. I started to learn from people who had been successful in the States, reading up to see if it would help me. It's really about being in charge of other people, in charge of a bunch of players. How do you handle them? There are a lot of ways to do it. I just thought it was fascinating. Somebody recommended The Naked Ape by Desmond Morris, and it was about territory. It was about why, in the animal kingdom, if it's somebody else's territory, you would be fought off. Get out of here, this is my territory, get out. I try to relate that to football and footballers. I always remember previously when I was a player going to Anfield, and you would go up the day before the game and get into the hotel, and all the people working at the hotel would say, excuse me, what are you doing up here? This is Liverpool. You should get back to London where you belong. When you've got a group of players, there's a number that are very confident of their own ability, and there's some that are not so comfortable. When you go into a situation where you need warriors, you'd like the whole 11 players to be warriors, but it doesn't work out that way. You usually have 2 or 3 really strong characters who carry the rest of the boys. When you go away from home, you need your leaders who love the challenge, the battle. There are people who are much stronger mentally within a group of players. When I was a player, I was not strong mentally. Not as strong as I maybe should have been. Frank McClintock was the equivalent of 3 people. We used to think, cool, with Frank and another couple of others, how can we lose? I knew we had a lot of warriors in that team. It's not a secret who we had. Nigel is like that. He's no meat in him at all, and Nigel would kick anybody. Bowley, Tony, even Lee, who was a gentleman. He didn't like kicking people, but occasionally he would. David Rocastle had it. We had a strong backbone to us, and sometimes you think nowadays some teams lack that. If you've got too many who are mentally not as strong, then you go to some grounds and it's more difficult to win matches. Liverpudlians are very, very passionate about their own city. They're very, very intense about their game and their team especially. Nothing against Liverpool or the people up there, but I didn't want to be staying in a hotel for a couple of days with negative vibes. That's why, having read that book, The Naked Ape, I suddenly thought, we'll go up the morning of the match. Have a light lunch, off to bed, have a rest, and then the game in the evening. The Desmond Morris idea definitely convinced me I wanted to take the team up there as late as possible near the game, then play the game and get out of there as quickly as possible, obviously with the right result. I'm glad I did that. Steve Bold, defender. Surprisingly, as a group, we were all very calm. I don't know whether that's because we didn't have too many expectations or we actually believed George's story. He told it like it was a western. Get in and get out of town quick with the rewards. He used to quote that kind of thing regularly. Lee Dixon, defender. Did I wake up thinking this is the day we win the league? I'll be honest with you, not really. I didn't sit there going, this is it. I wasn't pumped up like that early, because there was still all that stuff going on around Hillsborough for me. Even during the prep in the dressing room, it was like another game, but there was still that feeling of, should we really be here? David O'Leary, defender. It was my son's birthday. I went away that day thinking it would be nice to bring him back a medal, wouldn't it? I wished him a happy birthday. He was 6 at the time. Later on, he was too tired to stay awake for the game and went to bed. John Lukic, goalkeeper. It's a good job I got there early because there were no seats on the bus. Everybody and his brother was on that bus going up to Anfield. Even people I didn't know were on the bus. It was packed. Perry Groves, forward. The first team coach is sacrosanct. No one goes on it unless you're in the squad. No one travels. I remember getting on the coach and it was full of VIPs, and I thought half of them actually were barely alive, aged about 70 or 80, cobwebs coming off them with their old blazers. But the thing is, they sat in our seats and broke an unwritten rule. When you're a regular in the first team, you always sit in the same seat. It's a rite of passage. You have to earn your right. Some officials from the club were sat on our table. So we're like, what are you doing? I said, sorry, chaps, you've got to move. And they went, you can sit down there. We said, no, you don't understand. You have to move. That's where we sit. Every single away game, that is my seat. That's where Baldy sits. That's where Alan Smith sits. I tell you what, if we get beat tonight, or we don't win the title, it's your fault. If you don't move, we've got no chance. Because footballers are very superstitious. Very superstitious. In the end, we got them out of our seats.